He's Adrian Peterson, the Redskins running back, on pace for 1,000 yards and had another big performance, 99 yards against the Cowboys this past Sunday. And Adrian Peterson back on the program. How are you, Adrian?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing okay. How did it feel after Sunday's game with the Cowboys? How'd your body feel?
My body felt pretty good. Actually, better than a week before. So that was motivating, but still a little banged up.
All right, you look at your age now. Everybody starts to bring up the age of a running back. Usually, after 30? Does that feel like? Yeah. So it's like Adrian Peterson, 33. That there's something about that. How much do you have left? But how is 33 Adrian Peterson and as a 23-year-old Adrian Peterson? Like, what is the biggest difference between those two?
I would say, as a football player, just a smarter player. Has been through a lot of different situations, scenarios. But like physically, I haven't noticed a difference at all.
How are the knees?
The knees are great. I never, people always ask that question too, and it's like, hey, I got some other things that's kind of nicking, just kind of nagging me at the time, but my knees have held up great since, the ACL surgery and the meniscus tear I had in 2016.
But what would be different now if you were coming out of Oklahoma with how running backs are used? Mm-hmm. How different would you be used now in today's game as opposed to when you first came out?
Definitely more versatile, as far as being out and, running routes and things like that, but so I can say that would be the way. But the crazy thing is that, that was one of the reasons I went down to New Orleans to be able to kind of make that transition that the NFL was making, you know. And, those are things that I'm capable of doing, and I showed there. And, hopefully I have the opportunity to do it here when CT isn't out there doing his thing, So, but that would be the change.
What were you doing when the Redskins called?
I was actually just landing from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My brother-in-law, we threw a surprise birthday party for him. Well, not, as a group, as parents. But, I was landing back in Houston, and I turned my phone on, and my agent, I seen a lot of text messages come through my phone, like, hey, call as soon as possible. And my dad was texting me, and I was like, what's going on, And I called, talking to him, and he was like, hey, Redskins want to bring you in for a visit and a workout, and they want you to fly in tonight.
Did you think your career was over prior to that?
Not at all. No, that didn't cross my mind.
Favorite run of your career? Do you have one?
Favorite run of my career? Man, that's a good one. I would probably say it was against New Orleans in the NFC Championship game, and it was an inside zone play, and I had broke through the line for like 8 yards, and should have been a home run.
Ooh.
I don't know if it was Vimmer who came in and ended up knocking the ball out, and the ball flew in front of me like literally 10 yards. And I remember, it was in the moment, the ball's right there, and I see like two defensive players approaching the ball, coming towards the ball and coming towards me. And next thing I remember, bam, I was on the ball. And that's one of my favorite runs and one of my favorite plays, because it was one of those moments where I did something like supernatural. And I was kind of like on my knees, like crawling. Yeah. I was like, how did I get to the ball before those guys, So I would say that one. Then against the Cleveland Browns, great block by Sidney Rice. Ended up stiff-arming a guy, shoving him out of bounds. Almost lost the ball, kind of caught it with my helmet and my shoulder pads, and ran into the end zone.
That's not bad. I mean, you got a few on the list there, Adrian. I mean, let's be honest. Who do you consider the best running back of all time?
The best running back of all time?
Yeah.
Barry Sanders. Of course, Jim Brown is a legendary guy that started everything for us. But when I look at, and I feel like Jim Brown also could play in any generation. But when you look at this scoring touchdowns and picking up yards, and no matter how you did it, and the short career Barry Sanders had, which it was long, but obviously he could have played a lot longer.
Yeah, nobody ever hit him, Adrian.
Yeah, I know exactly. So I would say Barry Sanders.
He's Adrian Peterson, Redskins running back. Got the Giants coming up next game. I was wondering about this. Does it still bother you, that you finished runner-up to Matt Leinart in the Heisman in 2004?
I'll be lying to you, Dad, if I said it didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially when the first freshman and started winning Heismans and stuff like that. I'm like, man, really, I should have been the first freshman to win a Heisman Trophy. But when I look back, I'm just like, okay, I've accomplished a lot of great things. Matt, he didn't have the type of career that I'm sure he envisioned having. So. He got the Heisman Trophy to kind of, make him feel a little better about that.
But I do think you changed the voting process, because I remember arguing, and I didn't vote for the Heisman back then, but I would argue with people who did vote and say, why don't you consider freshman and sophomore? I thought Marshall Faulk had a chance to win the Heisman, and you too. Mm-hmm. And that's, Herschel Walker. And I said, why do we make this, you got to be a junior or senior? You're not being fair to the underclassmen. I think when you came along and rushed for 1,900 yards, you opened people's eyes to, hey, a freshman can be the best player in college football. So you didn't win the Heisman, but I do think you changed the voting process.
And I can look back and say, you know what, that's good. If it opened the door for some freshmen to come in and have the opportunity, then, it was a good job by me. What's funny about that year as well? I think me and Reggie Bush were the only two running backs up for the Heisman Trophy, and obviously I was a freshman. I didn't even win a Doak Walker Award that year.
For the best running back?
Yeah, it's like, someone that's not up for the Heisman Trophy wins it, huh? That was odd.
You're not bitter. You've totally let it go, right?
As you can tell.
Yeah, I can tell. I remember you telling me you had a black-on-black Bentley.
Yes.
Where is the black-on-black Bentley? Is that long gone?
Actually, yeah, it's long gone.
Oh, okay.
I got rid of it.
What are you driving now?
Well, right now, I'm driving a Ford. A Ford Explorer. Expedition, I think.
Wait, did they give it to you? Is that why you're driving it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Eastern Motors, family car. But my car back home is a S-Class Mercedes S63.
Okay. All right.
Black on black again.
Okay, I got one of those, black on black.
Yeah.
Those are great cars. Now, do you do the driverless? Do you let it drive you?
Nah, I'm not that comfortable. I like to be in control, so.
Yeah, me too. I get a little nervous. I was also wondering this, too, because you finished runner-up to Leinart, and Alex Smith, your current teammate, finished fourth in that Heisman race. Did you know that?
Yeah. He was
okay.
there. It was it's cool. I've thought about that since I've been here. It's like, how things can kind of come around full circle, man. You never know.
Crazy. Coming out of high school, if it was in Oklahoma, you would have gone to?
USC.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Texas was already out the picture because Mac Brown said, hey, Cedric Benson's coming back for his senior year. We're going to be loyal to him. He started since a freshman. So after he leaves, then you could take off. I got every other school telling me, hey, you can come in and compete for the starting job.
Wait, so you would have gone to Texas if Mac Brown says you can come in and compete for the job?
Yes.
Oh, man. How close was USC?
If they weren't on the West Coast, it was close. Because Oklahoma, it was really close. It was really, really close. Really close.
But then you would have been competing with Reggie Bush.
Yeah, him and Lindell White and Herschel Dennis.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I knew all about those guys.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Wow. Who coached you? You didn't have Switzer, did you?
No, Coach Stoops.
Okay.
Bob.
All right.
Yeah, Bob Stoops.
All right. But
Kel Gundy, running back coach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I also was curious about this with the evolution or maybe lack thereof with the running back, with lowering your head, that this was supposed to be a big deal, that running backs can't lower their heads, but that hasn't been called very often. How come? I thought they were going to enforce that this year.
I
mean, you're
know,
glad that they're not, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think it's such a natural movement for the running back. I think it's more of a focus on, defenders, and them lowering their heads when they come in to tackle guys. But for running backs, it's kind of hard not to lower your shoulder pads and.
But
it's like, go ahead.
I mean, do you get your bell rung? I mean, you get, they even when you're lowering your head, or I'm sure you're ringing other people's bells, but do you lower your head and get your bell rung?
Occasionally that might happen, but for me, I really haven't experienced that. Normally, when I get ready to lower my head, I'm seeing what's coming towards me, so I'm able to gauge, if I'm going to hit this guy with my shoulder pads, and it's happening so fast. So normally, I gauge it right when I lower my head. I kind of know where I'm going and who's approaching me. So you can avoid those as well. It's really when you got those defenders who are kind of really making the last move to make that tackle, or guys are flying in after you're wrapped up to make those tackles. That should come in when with their face mask up, to prevent hurting themselves and causing injuries to other players.
If you could be any running back in the league now, who would you be?
Adrian Peterson.
Oh, no, you're already Adrian Peterson. Who's? If I said I can pick a young running back, you can be that running back now.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you be?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
It'd be Todd Gurley or Barkley.
Oh, really?
Those guys.
Todd Gurley's a bad dude.
Oh yeah, that he is, man. I love that kid. He's just humble, hard worker. And I just love how he carry himself. And Barkley, just watching him as well, man. And I can see it. So I'm just gonna continue to watch him. Hopefully we're gonna of course we're gonna shut him down this week.
Of course you are.
Of course shut him down this week.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna continue to watch him for sure.
If I talk to you in 3 years, what are you doing?
Probably sitting here in the same room.
Okay.
Doing an interview.
You think you'll still be playing at 36?
Yeah. If that's what I want to do, I don't feel like anything else will keep me from doing that as far as like talent or anything like that. So. And
if you loosened up on your grip when you shake people's hand, remember we had an issue with this where, man.
Yeah, we did.
Man, have you eased up a little bit?
I have.
How about dap? How about some dap, Adrian? I mean, that's, man. Yeah, you. A
lot of people approach me with the dabs.
Oh, I would. I wouldn't shake your hand, and not out of disrespect. I just don't want my hand hurt. It's just a little dap there.
I've eased up, though.
Okay.
I've eased up.
All right. Good luck against the Giants. Good to catch up with you. And we'll talk to you in 3 years when you're 36, still playing for the Redskins.
All right, man. Hopefully we talk before then, but appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you, Adrian. That's Adrian Peterson, Redskins running back.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.